Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV. Good old Keeper. The Internal Combustion Engine Age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and motorcycles, the SUVs, the Keefer dog, the pool, the camper, life, attitudes. Oh, wow, somebody's wound up this morning. Hey, good Friday morning there to all those that subscribe to my channel, watch me on a regular basis. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a great 4th of July. And, we had a good 4th of July. I had a great day if you're watching my channel. It took forever for the 360 Insta camera to transfer photos and video to my phone to produce content, which didn't really even publish till probably 2, 3 in the morning. But anyways, it's out there. But I think my Insta camera is backwards the whole time I rode the bike. It's just too confusing. Everything's just so challenging when it comes to new technology. You haven't used it before and you learn the hard way. You know those stories? So here it is, it is a nice Friday morning. It is warm. It is, the heat index is supposed to be super high today. And the temperature's here. When we had the cloud cover, the sun's kind of coming through. It wasn't too bad. Had a little bit of a breeze, but it's supposed to be a really hot day here in the Northern Virginia area. And did the dogs go nuts last night? They did. They drive me nuts? They did, because of the fireworks. And we had somebody in our neighborhood that went full blown all out. You would have thought you were actually at an event. You need to go to an event, not here. People are blowing off fireworks like you can't believe. And so, even though technically in the state of Virginia, you're only allowed to use certain fireworks, but what sheriff or cop is going to run around at nighttime and track down the firework people? Yeah, like who's going to do that, right? If you're a police officer, yeah, I'm going to go drive around neighbors at nighttime and start chasing down people blowing off, the big stuff. So, as always, let's get the dogs in the office so that Kiefer can kind of chill out and do his thing. But no, you're not going up there. No, you're not going up there. It's always the same story. Go on, pups. Go on, get up there. So, what do we talk about today? Because what do we have? The broke conversations, the matter conversations, the law conversations, the independence conversations. And after riding my bike yesterday, and my daughter riding this bike here yesterday, I think we're going to talk about the seat. What fits the seat of your pants conversations. But I think it's such a great word because it goes hand in hand to what is going to play out this year in the election year, where if you're a election-minded person, we have electoral seats. We have an electoral college where the founding fathers that wrote in the Constitution that you would have elections of a presidency through electoral votes. And for those out there that understand that, basically what they came to closure was, instead of having the so-called popular vote elect a president, they chose to have electoral vote to elect a president based on how many Congress and senators sit in your state for the electoral count of, and the bigger the state you are, the more electoral votes you're going to have in one state. That's why California typically runs Democratic. It's a huge state, and it's a lot of electoral votes. And there's 538 electoral votes between all the states, including the District of Columbia, even though it doesn't get representation of the electoral college. I don't think it does. I could be wrong on that for the presidency. But for a president, they have to get 270 electoral votes in order to be nominated as the new sitting president. And if you're really a person who watches that, you'll know back in 2020, November of 2020, that was a huge argument among the so many would probably agree that created the January 6th participants that weren't happy. And then, of course, Donald Trump was being called out because he didn't want to recognize the electoral vote. He felt like it was stolen from him. So the seat, that's, once again, how many seats do you have in your state? And the bigger the state you are, but not necessarily the bigger the state. It's more about the population. So Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Nebraska. I mean, those guys, they don't have a lot of electoral college votes or seats. because it's just not a big populated state. So, taking that word, the seat, I thought, how more appropriate could it be? Because what fits the seat of your pants? That's the biggest thing for all of us that own our car, truck, motorcycle, whatever vehicle it may be. Even where I think it's so interesting, and I talked about this a while back, the seat that you take at church, the seat that you used to take at school, or the seats you take at your office. And it's really interesting how us humans, you always notice it at church more so for me, because I'm not going to school anymore, is that people tend to pick a seat and they use that seat week in, week out. They kind of create their own seat of happiness of how they want to be close, up front, middle, or the back. And I'm sure people recognize this too. And then, where's your seat in your office? Or as a car dealership, the running joke I tell people is, when they put your seat at the front door, that means that's just that much closer to you going out the front door. And so the seat, as anybody knows, you get in a car, truck, motorcycle, whatever, and you get in that vehicle, and you instantly know if that vehicle fits the seat of your pants. And I've always talked so many years about how the Ford Mustang, I think the Ford Mustang performance and just overall fun factor is more fun than the Hellcats, the GT500 I'm talking about. But the seat posture is not as comfortable. I think the Dodge Challenger and Charger have by far the most comfortable seat, fit the seat of your pants type of performance-oriented vehicle that I think really is very accommodating and very comfortable for many, many miles. The Mustang, it just doesn't fit the most people's body stature. I think many people would agree that the Mustang is not, it's a nice car, it's comfortable, but it's not like riding in these captain chairs, Dodge products. Camaro, I haven't driven the Camaro enough, but it's more of the racing seat, but it seems to be very comfortable. The Corvette, the Corvette, it's comfortable, but you're so low to the ground, and your butt is so on the seat. And that's what I've talked about many times on my channel, is what's your body position on the seat? And if your tuchus is really supporting your body in the car on a long journey, you really start to feel that. Versus when I drive the big F450 truck, or I drive my full-size trucks, it's a captain's chair. It's a lounge chair where you literally are sitting in the seat, but your legs and your, I know one guy like, oh, you're wearing the Crocs again, you son of a gun. So got some brand new stuff at Under Armour yesterday. First time I've been to the outlet mall in ages. And got a deal. I got 3 new shirts. Got 3 new Under Armour shirts and a nice pair of shorts for $76, including the what was I even say? Yeah, including the tax. And so kind of going off subject on there. Oh my gosh, what a joke! So here we're at this. I mean, I live on the road every day of my life, and I know I'm kind of going off the side course here, but it's always about the stories and what fits the seat of your pants, right? So, and that's another thing. You go clothes shopping. What pair of pants, shorts do you buy that fit the seat of your pants? Yeah, that's a huge challenge, especially if you're not the most, perfect-looking individual, which I'm not. Porky, yes, whatever. So, I'm over at this Leesburg Premium Outlet Mall that opened here in 1998. That place was packed. I had to park across the main parking somewhere else to even get in that place. And I got there, and Under Armour relocated their store next to Columbia. So it was pretty cool. It wasn't really that much of me having to walk all through the mall to get to Under Armour. I like the Under Armour stuff. True, incredibly success story. The guy that started that out of the trunk of his car selling athletic T-shirts to sports. If you know that story, I'm sure people have read it or heard about it. If you haven't, you should read about it. So, place is packed. I get my goodies. I got the 60% off stuff, which was so cool. And that's why it was so cheap. If it wasn't 60% off, you know as well as I do, you'd be looking at $150, $200 worth of gear on my body. Yeah. Who doesn't ever go in the store and a shirt's $60 each, $50 each. The pants are $90, shorts are $90. Yeah, this goes on. But when they have a 60% sale, hell, that's a deal to get it out, liquidate it. And so I'm in line, and it's like 10 deep, and not a big deal. I mean, but they're swamped. 2 cashiers, and eventually another cashier comes into play. So there's 3. And so there's this couple there, and I'm not going to tell you their origin. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but I'm going to tell you what they did. So it's a lady with a baby stroller with two toddlers and then 2 boys, probably about 7, 8 years old, and then her husband. And they're buying. It's beyond believable. When I was shopping, they were at the cashier. By the time I got in line, 10 deep, they were still at the cashier. I don't know what they were buying, but they were buying like everything in the world. And they were taking forever and ever and ever. But the line moved through. So now I'm literally caught up to them being 10 deep, where now I'm standing right behind them. And it's ongoing. So they finally finish up. And it's just like, wow, I mean, good Lord, what are you buying? The whole store? So now, and they didn't really seem to even have a lot of stuff. I don't even know. So as they're getting ready to depart, one of the woman's friends, who's now 5 deep, looks at her, and they start talking in a different language. And so you don't understand what they're saying. I didn't take that class. I should have, in hindsight. So all of a sudden, this lady with all her goodies cuts in front of everybody and now gets to where this lady was standing at the cashier. And now I'm looking behind me, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, what's that all about? And I'm like, wow. And, I had to hold my breath to say, well, I guess I got the wrong color skin, but I didn't say it. Because then another cashier opened up, and I walked over there. But I'm like, what? How does that work? How does that work that you take your friend, and you know as well as I do, some people would have gone off. Would have even been a confrontation, violence in the Under Armour store yesterday, where this woman just tells everybody else, too bad, my friend means more than you do, and she gets to cut in front of all you guys, and suck it up, Buttercup. I can do whatever I want. I mean, wow. Is that the message being sent more than ever in this social media and this freaking administration? I think it is, personally. But back to the seat of our pants. So in the trucks and cars, I've talked about it in great length before. It's about how your body posture is in these vehicles. And it's a huge difference of how you feel at the end of the day riding around in a vehicle and how far you go. And it really comes down to, are your legs per se supporting you versus your tuchus as really the support. And I know from years and years of drive around so many different cars and vehicles, and I've talked about it before, about how years ago when I had the small pickup trucks, you didn't really have any propped up seat because it's such a compact truck. And when you sat in that vehicle, you were just sitting on the floor of the vehicle. And when you sit on the floor of the vehicle, trust me, you begin to feel that over hours and hours of riding. So you may say, well, okay, so you talked about this past week, all the different, the broke and the matters and the law, independence. So what is seat? How did you come up with the seat idea? It came from the daughter and I yesterday riding the Honda CBR. She rode the CBR 1000RR, and I was going to ride my CBR Fireblade, even though I had hesitation about that. But the daughter was like, come on, Dad, let's do a 2-up on the CBRs. And I was like, okay. And we're not going to really do, my thoughts were, we'll just kind of keep it not real too far away. So I set up my Insta360 on my helmet, and I got my backpack out to able to give us water and other supplies, and I had my little 360 camera here. And I was all good for the most part to go ahead and do some videoing, even though it'd be very challenging because you really need to have your phone. When I have my one phone mounted to the handlebars, I can remotely control it through my Insta360 camera through my phone to turn it off and on for recording. That bike there, there's just no way with the steering. You look at the steering head here, there just isn't really any way of mounting a cell phone per se on this handlebar setup. You're not going to be able to do it. So it'd have been more challenging to do video content on that motorcycle because of how you go down the road. And I know the Insta360, I think, has a gesture thing. You can put your hand in front of it and it turns off and turns back on. Okay, well, I just haven't gotten that sophisticated. I still haven't figured out how the hell to frickin' to take my helmet here with the Sena mic and match it to the GoPro so I can talk through that. I've tried it, but you got to go to like a GPS setting. It's just another freaking project and trying to get technology. And somebody that's done it, yeah, I'm sure they could come to me and go, here it is, bing, bam, done. You know, it's not that hard, Mr. Iceman. All right, well, I've screwed this a little bit in Florida, and I really haven't focused on it since. Do you really want to hear me talking even more as you go down the road? Which it would be cool because I can give you my impressions of the motorcycle and everything else. So, in so many aspects, the Fireblade didn't start, which was actually to my advantage in some ways. So the Fireblade's dead. So this bike literally came off the truck and I bought it right off the truck, basically. We only came in the day before, and I bought it. The battery's dead, and the bike's only sat 1 month. That's ridiculous. Honda usually is pretty good about their motorcycles with batteries. I haven't really ever had a problem per se. Hey, here's a fan. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn this fan on, and anybody out there is a fan expert. Watch how this thing turns off and on. It's so weird. It's such a bummer because I bought this thing like 2 years ago. I don't have the receipt, so I'm not going to be able to go back to Tractor Supply and make a claim that, you know, I got a bad fan. But this fan turns on, then after a little bit, it turns back off. Now, if I want to be a real jerk, I could go to the Tractor Supply. I could buy a brand new fan, but I don't think how would I accomplish anything out of that? Well, no. Well, I could. I could buy a new fan, come home, box that up, take that back, since it looks brand new, and say it doesn't work, and they can refund my money. And if I want to be a real dirtball, I could actually do that. I just thought of that. So, which I'm not going to do that. Or do I? Does Iceman get devious? Does he become yeah, right. So anyway, so the Fireblade, it wouldn't start up because it has no battery. The battery's dead, which is so disappointing. But at the same time, after riding my daughter, I think this was a great lesson yesterday because down there in Florida, even up here, we really never have ridden the Honda CBR for any great length of time. And so even I drove my Honda Goldwing for the first time for the longest time. So yesterday, I would say we did a good 100-mile ride would be about my guess. And we timed it perfectly of how we rode. And we rode up, really, we were able to go north and then west, and we avoided all the rainstorms. So we coming back in, we did kind of run into just a little bit of rain, but not much of anything. So the way we routed ourselves, it was a great run because we never got caught up in a major rainstorm. And if you've been in a major rainstorm on a motorcycle, you know it's no fun. Especially for my daughter, it'd be very challenging. I got a windshield to kind of protect me. So anyways, we get up the road, riding the bikes, we're having a good time. We're over in Maryland. And daughter, I got good content, daughter riding by me, next to me. And I don't know if that really populated that well on that 360 camera because I'm still the green guy that's still trying to figure it all out. So, I gotta get some coffee here. So, I'm definitely allergic to kefir. There's no doubt. I've truly figured it out. I guess I'm gonna start taking Claritin because, man almighty. It's unfortunate, but I really am allergic to kefir. Which that's the first time in my life owning dogs I've ever had this allergic reaction where I really am in bad shape if I hang out next to him and I'm in a confined area. I really do get into bad, like having asthma. It's really bad. And I've never had that in my lifetime. But I'm glad I kind of figured it out because I was like, what's wrong with my body? And so many of you, when I was down in Florida, have really hammered the hell out of it that I got the dog dander, which, yeah, you're right, I do. But I think it's more kefir than the other dogs. That's what's so weird about all this. So anyways, I know I use the word so anyways in my conversation a lot, but it is what it is. So sorry about that if it gets annoying to you, but more coffees that show off the CBR, right? The kid loves that bike. And the daughter's so much like, oh, I'd have that bike over the Harley. All right, really? So we're up in the back roads, and my daughter rides behind me because she doesn't know where we're going. I lead. And I notice there's a car ahead of us on a really beautiful part of roads, back roads, that you really could get some pretty crazy numbers if you wanted to ride a motorcycle. And I noticed that there's a white truck, borderline, in my view, tailgating my daughter. And I'm like, and so what we do when somebody gets really kind of on our tail and it's really pushing us, we'll just pull over and let them go by. And the thing about my daughter is she's a girl, and I just know how us individuals operate, especially men. They see a ponytail on the back of a girl's helmet, and they see her on a really cool looking bike. Some guys are like, okay, let's push this girl. I want to push this girl. If you don't think this goes on, of course it goes on. The guy would be like, he'll just ride her ass to push her, to make her do things that she doesn't want to do. Just be like, oh, let's see what you got, little girl. I mean, this stuff goes on. People, I'm sure, can relate with this, where this driver's be like, yeah, I'll just tailgate the hell out of her. So she starts getting it up down the road, and let's just see how badass she really is, these back roads. And so this white truck, and I had this inclination. I'm like, is this an undercover cop? I just had this gut instinct. I don't know what it was. And so I'm just like, the fan's still running. That's pretty cool, right? But it will eventually turn off. Yeah, right, Mr. Iceman, you're delusional. So we're going down the roads. This car for miles and miles, truck, car in front of me, truck behind her. And I'm like, okay, so now we're going through the twisties, and there's a perfect pull-off spot for us to make a left-hand turn in this big, like, cul-de-sac driveway type of setting for us to be able to pull in and let this truck go by her. As I pull in, just like watch my cameras, I'm pulling in my motorcycle, and I'm coming around back to the road, and the truck goes by. It's on the video, I'm pretty sure. I didn't look at the video. It shows K9. It's an undercover police officer that's tailgating my daughter. I'm not lying to you. It's an undercover cop in a white truck with a white toolbox. Up in this area where I live, there's tons of state police and local police that run around in pickup trucks that have a big white, like, white camper shell that looks like a commercial grade, and it's an undercover cop. But it looks like a regular truck just coming down the road, work truck, maintenance truck. And if you really don't pay attention, that is an undercover cop following you and is going to bust your ass. So now you have to say to yourself, was that officer trying to intimidate my daughter to see her then do something stupid? Because these are the 25 mile an hour go through the twisties, 30 miles an hour, 35. But you can take your motorcycle at much higher speeds doing those twisties. And you got some good straights where you can really just take it on the back roads in a 55 mile an hour zone and hit 70, 80 miles an hour just instantly, 45 mile an hour zones. So my gut instinct was so accurate. And my daughter didn't even know when I pulled over. She's like, she pulled her helmet up, and she's like, what's going on? I said, well, I let that go by. You know who that was? She's like, no. I said, that's an undercover cop. She's like, wow. Yeah, well, what you don't know is, my daughter just had to get herself out of something that would not be good. This would not be good for my daughter. Had we been up the road, and, I mean, I'm not lying to you. Had we gone up the road, and then it's the type of thing where this is really pissing you off, and you just are like, it's the seat of your pants. How confident you feel in your motorcycle, your car, and you just know the limits you can take. And you just say to yourself, screw this person behind me, get the hell off my back end, and you nail it, and you take a run. And then, and for a police officer, he didn't give two craps. When you say, you tailgated me, you pushed me. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. You tailgated me. You were following me way too close, dude. You were pushing me. No. Here's your ticket, buddy. Too bad. So sad, so sorry for you. So, wow. That, is God on our side? I think God is on our side. I mean, wow. That would have been a total ruin the day for us riding our motorcycles. And for the record, we don't do crazy. My daughter isn't like that. She's not doing that. My daughter doesn't have enough experience on this style motorcycle to really ride at that level. And I'm glad, because you know as well as I do, if you go through a corner at 50, 60 miles an hour, that's a 25, 30 mile an hour corner, and you don't know how to handle it, you go off in the woods, and that's a life changer, if not a life ender. But this goes on all the time. You got to show off. My daughter just loves the look of the bike, and it's just like anything else. How many people have these high performance, badass looking cars, and do they actually ever race them? No. So, but it goes the same thing with all the other things we own in our life. You ever take it to the extreme? No. But, wow, I can tell you this much. It's such a bummer. My Insta360 ran out of battery power, even though I have a separate battery I didn't bring with me. And I was not able to bring back home the video of me taking this motorcycle the exact same path, the Honda Goldwing, DCT 2024 here. I only wish my Insta camera didn't go bad, because you could have seen me coming home and doing the exact same comeback on the exact same road, and to see the difference of how the bikes handle. Now, this bike here truly is badass. Now, for Mr. Sanchez, Uncle Sanchez, good morning there to you, Mr. Sanchez, and good morning there, Mr. Charles and Don, the help desk. I mean, all the people that reach out to me on a regular basis. I appreciate your support. But Mr. Sanchez truly believes that the kid is going to fall in love with the ST Fast Johnny Road Glide. That's the same bike. It's just a different fairing. I mean, that's really all it is. It's a different fairing setup, different handlebar setup. But he is totally convinced that the kid is going to abandon the Street Glide for the Fast Johnny. I don't know. I tried to get my daughter on Fast Johnny back there, and she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to do it. I just think the way the handlebars are, I never was comfortable with that style handlebar with the Road Glide. I always liked the Street Glide handlebar setup better. So I don't know. I don't think that'll play out. But he says, for the record, just remember this conversation that Mr. Uncle Sanchez told you so, like everything else I told you so on. So, hey, we shall see. But that's a beautiful color bike. She likes it. She looks good on it. I just don't see that happening. Plus, that's my bike. I mean, just for the record, certain things are bought for my daughter, and that's the way it is. CBR 1000RR, yeah, do you really think I bought that for myself? No. Did I end up buying a Fireblade because it's a rare production bike? Yeah. Would I buy another CBR 1000RR to be like her? No. I got a CB 1000RR now in Florida, which that's all fine. It's so funny. Yesterday, I'm sitting here walking through my shop, and it's just incredible how I bought a tank bag, and I even think a rear tank thing for my Honda CB 1000R, and I forgot all about it. It's sitting here where I could have taken it to Florida. Yeah, it just doesn't end, man. Yeah, so my daughter, the Lowrider ST, that fits the seat of her pants. That doesn't fit the seat of my pants. That bike's too cramped for me. So that's not my, so what I'm trying to say to you is, for Mr. Sanchez, is this bike was bought for the daughter, and this bike, the Fast Johnny, was bought for me. So CBST is bought for me. I mean, so there's some things. We bought the Breakout thinking my daughter could ride it. She can't. So, but I always wanted a Breakout, so it doesn't matter. This is crazy. So this thing now runs. This thing has a brain of its own. I'm calling it out that it stops, and it hasn't stopped. What's that all about? I thought it was maybe the thermal temperature. Maybe it's not hot enough. And yesterday it was debatable. Was I going to ride the Breakout, or is I going to ride the Triumph? And actually, when I said to my daughter yesterday, let's ride the Harleys, she didn't want to ride the Harleys. But I thought, if we go for a long ride. So when we were down in Florida, a lot of times we take a Crystal River ride in our motorcycles. And my daughter was really adamant about bugging me to take the CB 1000RR, the black bike, down in Florida, and this bike up to Crystal River, actually up to State Manatee Park, which is about 125 miles one way. So it's a 250-mile ride day for us. And I was like, there's no way. I'll never be able to sit on that CB 1000R for that long without cramping up, and it'll be too long a day. 100 miles, I can see 100 miles. But to go 200, to do double that, I just can't see it. And she was really like, well, so we were kind of going back and forth. And so even got to the point, she was like, well, when we got the Harley, she's like, you ride my Harley, and I'll ride the CB 1000RR. Well, it was starting to get late in the game down there in Florida, having to take care of my mother. And I did not feel good about leaving my mother at home. That's an all-day trip. That State Manatee trip is, we leave at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning. We're not even up there till close to noon, because you usually stop by the Harley dealer. Then you got to get gas, you got to get lunch, and then you get there and then come back. It turns into a very long day, and so I just didn't feel good about it. We didn't do it. So now yesterday, if you watch my video, I had some shorty videos. The shorty video shows us coming back in, and the seat of our pants was killed. Our asses were killing ourselves. My daughter was even starting to stand up on this motorcycle because her ass, her tuchus, was killing herself. I was even amazed on my Honda Goldwing. Even for me, this Honda Goldwing seat is such a wide, if you look at this seat, it is such a wide seat. Even for me, my good friend Chris, he hates this seat. He upgraded his with a really cool looking seat because he just hates this type of finish, suede finish, that your body sticks to it when it's really hot, and it just kicks your ass. So for both of us, just a little over 100-mile ride, our Tucuses were killing ourselves. So when I got back in, if you see that short video that I posted yesterday, you'll see that my daughter is like, wow. So then I'm like, so you think going to the State Manatee Park in this bike would have been a good idea? She's like, no way. So she now really does understand this is a sport bike. It's a sport bike. It's a 100-mile bike. And trust me, I know there's people out there that can ride this bike all day long. I get all that. There's definitely people out there who can do that. That's not us. We just don't have the seat of our pants groomed to do that. So then I was like, so if you really think about it, she's made kind of comment like, I think I'd keep the CBR 1000R over the Harley. And I'm like, really? You'd really do that? And she really hasn't said that much. It's just kind of always kind of thought, what should you keep? So now I'm like, yeah, the real motorcycle is the Harley Davidson because of what you can do with this bike and how you can tour in it. You can ride around, local, long distance. It's just such a better setup of how you sit on the bike and how you're comfortable on the bike versus these crotch rockets. There's no way. So for me, yeah, it'd have been very interesting for me to ride this yesterday, and how far would have I gotten on this motorcycle? Yeah, where you're pulling off the side of the road and so I guess it was kind of meant to be. I guess that the powers to be are like, no, Iceman, you just really don't want to ride that bike today because, and the other thing is, what if I had as good a vision as the Honda does? So when I was riding the Honda and that undercover cop was behind my daughter, would those mirrors have given me that good a look for me to kind of see what's going on, where I'm a little bit thinking I can do some more little stints in this, and then there you go. But at the same time, rode that bike, may have been it may not have timed out the same way of that undercover cop being behind us. And so anyway, so the seat of your pants, that's the challenge, I think, more than anything on motorcycles is, from my experience all the years, the Honda Afro Twin, the Tiger 1200, the BMW 1200, the Tour, I should say, the adventure bikes, the seats have never been very comfortable. And for me, I've told the story before. I've been down in Tennessee, and I've ridden the back roads, and long day, and I ride one motorcycle like my Harley Davidson Limited CVO, and then I ride my Tiger Triumph, and halfway back home, I'm standing up to relieve the pain of my Tucus. And that's the thing. Anybody sees people standing up in their motorcycles, you may think they're showing off. No, they're not. Their ass is killing them. I mean, it truly is. That's what happens to motorcycles. It's challenging to get just the right seat. They have gel seats, they have gel pads. I mean, there's so many different style seats out there. And for me, the Triumph seems to be comfortable. The CVO ST back here, not so much. After riding all day that bike last week, it was the same story. And it's that same type of suede type of finish here. And my tail was really just starting to hurt. It's really kind of hard for me to think about what motorcycle I've owned. Usually spend the Harleys, the CVO Harleys, the Limited, that has a more padded seat, that has been the more comfortable ride, rather than ride for hours on end. And anybody here that really rides motorcycles, that is a huge part of your fatigue. If you're into that motorcycle and you're riding for hours and hours, and that seat starts to really get to your tuchus, then it just fatigues you even more. All right, I think that's about it. The sun has come out. It's supposed to be very hot today, and the pool is holding up, thank goodness. I mean, Don was really smart. I can't emphasize enough for Don that he really was the engineer. I think of him as the engineer on the job that saw the situation and came to a conclusion. But he even questioned, does that work? He was yeah, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But I have to give credit for my good subscriber Don that he figured this pool out, which I think really did save it from really not be in a pool, which would be such a bummer because with it being this hot out today, are we going to be in a pool? We will be in a pool. And I got to go to work and take care of things, and it's such a hot day. And you work outside, this stuff just really kicks your tail. And so for us, what will we be thinking this fall is the seats. The seats. How many seats does one participant get? But here's the real thing is, Joe Biden, is he going to be the nominee? I don't know. I mean, for me, it just, I think most people have to say to yourself that this guy's struggling before he's even been reelected. But so many people want to say he's not. But I mean, it's just like, wow. What political parties can pick some people that just seem to help the country come together and be so divided? How do we accomplish that? I mean, sincerely, how do we get a nominee in office that just kind of can make both sides happy? That would be a good accomplishment for our country. And that gets heavy and deep on that. I get all that. So thanks everybody for watching my channel. Appreciate the support. And do we get any videos today of us riding anymore? I don't know. It's so hot out. I don't know. I have to sit down and figure out what we do here. And definitely have a lot of accessories to put on my other toys here. Do I get motivated to do that? So we shall see. All right, everybody. Hope everybody has a great, it's a really beautiful Friday. Hope those who are vacation are having a great time. And be safe. It is that time of the year where people get a little crazy. So God bless. Have a great day.